for the countryside. Later, Allie and her family stop at a gas station to refuel their cars. She uses the opportunity to take Otis out to pee, while Hugh tries to keep his son Jude entertained. Suddenly, he hears Allie screaming and quickly runs to her. A man has held her at gunpoint and is demanding keys to Hugh's car. Hugh is about to comply, but Glenn shows up to his rescue and shoots the robber in the foot. Terrified, the Andrews take the man's gun and drive away, leaving the robber to be killed by the creatures. However, before they can get far, the group comes across a massive traffic jam that's blocking all the interstate highways. Glenn proposes an alternative and they go off-road. While driving through the countryside, Glenn suddenly comes across a herd of fleeing deer. He quickly swerves his car in order to avoid a crash, but ends up tumbling down the embankment. The Andrews immediately go to check on him and find him alive. Sadly, he is trapped inside the car. The family tries everything to save Glenn, including using a nut wrench to open the door and calling 911, but nothing works. At last, Glenn realizes that he is eventually going to bleed out, so he asks Hugh to hand him his gun and leave with his family. Distraught, Hugh doesn't want to leave his best friend alone, but for the sake of his family, he agrees. Unfortunately, just as the family is about to leave, Otis senses something and starts barking repeatedly. This attracts the vesps, and they attack the vehicle with tremendous intensity. Just when all hope seems to be lost, Glenn, who is still trapped inside the car, starts firing his gun to lure the creatures towards him. He manages to save the Andrews temporarily, but gets himself killed in the process. All this time, Otis keeps on barking. Hence, left with no choice, Hugh makes the difficult decision and lets the dog out of their car to die. The Andrews then realize that they can't drive away in their car without attracting the vesps, so they decide to abandon it. Hugh lights his car on fire to distract the vesps and sets out on foot with his family to find a shelter. They walk for hours, and Lynn struggles to keep up with her coughing, putting the family at risk. By evening, the family comes across an isolated house surrounded by a high fence and a locked gate. When they try getting in, the gate makes a noise and attracts the vesps. Soon, the homeowner also comes out with a gun. Seemingly unaware of the current situation, she tries threatening the intruders, but the vesps immediately swarm her and rip her apart. Damn, she didn't deserve that. After the incident, Hugh looks around the property for an alternate exit and comes across a storm drain tunnel that leads into the compound. He ventures into the property first to make sure it's safe. After getting the green light from Hugh, Allie and the others enter the tunnel, but inside, Jude comes across a rattlesnake, which makes him scream and attracts the vesps. The vesps kill the snake, but they also bite Kelly's leg. With time running out, Hugh quickly operates a wood chipper to distract the creatures and shreds them to death. In the next scene, the family finally enters the house and cleans Kelly's wounds. Before going to bed, Allie contacts Rob and finds out that his parents have been killed by the creatures. Worried, she asks him to get out of the city, but before Rob can respond, the call disconnects. Meanwhile, amidst all the chaos and despair, a religious cult is on the rise that is seeking new recruits and killing non-believers. The next day, Lynn again examines Kelly's wounds and learns that it is infected. Realizing that the wound is going to continue to spread without antibiotics, Hugh heads out to find a medical store with Allie. After walking silently for an hour, they come across a deserted city and look for a pharmacy. Ultimately, they find one, but it is dark, deserted, and stinking of rotten flesh. As Hugh collects the medicine, Allie notices vesp eggs growing inside human corpses lying around the store. She inadvertently makes some noise and alerts the creatures. Now, the duo is stuck inside the store with several vesps. Fortunately, Hugh thinks of a plan. He silently lights a mop on fire and activates the fire alarm. The noise from the fire alarm and the water sprinkler distract the creatures, and the father-daughter duo manages to escape unharmed. Outside, they are approached by a reverend who seems to have cut his tongue. It turns out he is the leader of the cult that's going around recruiting people and killing non-believers.